Arclight login confirmed.
Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning. Dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Episode 40. Whoa. Climax.
Hello and welcome from Hollywood, California. Hollywood! Another edition of the Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge Master. With me as always is Brother Bishki.
Sup, yo.
And Brother Lucas.
Welcome to Hollywood.
And one of our all-time greats, Brother Zach.
Zach attack!
Pleasure is all mine.
Zach in the back. Now, we were just talking about this, and I feel like we need to bring it up because 3/4 of this car has just viewed Leaving Neverland, the Michael Jackson documentary. Part one. And we are in a very strange headspace. And Zach, as the pure soul,
I'm clear.
Control subject.
I'm clear right now, gentlemen.
who
Thank God.
has not seen it yet.
Oh, thank God.
Can you help us get out of this funk and properly prepare us for tonight's film, Climax,
Yeah.
by Gaspar Noé?
Yeah. I mean, we came to be tickled. We came...
Not helping. Your phrasing is not helping.
No, but listen,
Yes.
now, you did not prepare for this evening, gentlemen, in a way that I would have recommended. You went to a dark place in
We
your
started
hearts and your
dark,
souls.
and now we're going darker.
But I'd like to...
Poisonous well.
Yeah, I'd like to clean the slate. I'd like us all to go clear.
How much weed do we have to smoke to go
Whatever
clear?
it takes. You need to be ready. You need to be ready to be provoked.
Oh
you need to
my
be
God.
ready to be taken
I don't
to
usually
some...
smoke during the intro, but oh my God.
My stomach. It's
My
like
stomach.
it's like coming off a bombing run, like, you know, in enemy
Here's-
territory. It's like you barely made it out alive.
Here's
Oh, my
here's
God.
the thing
Your
that I
soul
feel
intact.
good about.
Zach, heal us.
Remember when you walked in to Enter the Void?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was an assaultive, exciting, wild, ridiculous opening credit sequence.
Yeah, which Kanye West stole, by the way.
He did steal it. But I feel like this guy is always up to something, and he's going to hit you in the face with it within the first moments of the movie. So you're going to forget whatever you brought into the movie pretty quickly.
God,
I'm
I hope
hoping.
so.
Hopefully,
Bishki, are
yeah.
you smoking? It
Yeah,
might ease your stomach.
Yeah, I gotta take some medicine.
Yes.
Bishki has no idea what he's in for.
I
This-
do
Yeah,
not.
How are you such a purist?
This is
I
Bishki's
can't
first
believe.
Gaspar.
He's
I've
like
been-
the lamb to the slaughter.
I've been frightened a little bit. Brother Nate told me his films are a little bit ugly. They go to really some dark places, and Enter the Void sat in my watch list for a decade on Netflix.
You kind of had,
And
you kind of
it's
had
like
to
what-
see it in the theater.
It's like, what night do I put Enter the Void on? I don't know. Yeah.
I think,
Alone on the couch.
Dude, that
it's-
title
yeah.
alone.
I think
yeah.
you're gonna have to be sitting with me on the couch for that
But
one.
I honestly don't consider Gaspar Noé a traditional filmmaker. I consider him like a visual artist who truly is like using the film medium to like express, you know, some big idea. And it's if you go in expecting plot and
Sure.
character
You can't
and
do
like
that.
whatever, it's like you're gonna have a bad time, like a real bad time.
He transforms the medium for sure. Like I don't know what art form
He's like
these
the
are.
Euro trash Terrence Malick tweaker who
Yes.
is like freebasing,
Yes.
LT's onto it, man.
like
He's onto
the scent right
magazine collage and like really good aesthetics.
Bishki, are you getting all this?
Yeah,
Like,
mhm.
and-
Because that's exactly
And,
right.
and for
That
the
sounds
for the
like
record, when they made Drive, they like Nick Refn and Ryan Gosling had to consult with Gaspar Noé for the
Right.
elevator scene because they were like, we need to know how you did it in one of your movies because we're that dumb, like we can't even figure it
yeah,
out.
how did
Like,
you beat that dude's head in with the fire
Yeah,
extinguisher
yeah, and
so beautifully?
And that was like that was my introduction to Gaspar Noé, was that movie. And I remember people always talking about a specific scene in that movie, but for me, it was the fire extinguisher that really just, like,
and that's like the first scene
took
of
my innocence.
Irreversible.
Yeah, it took my innocence.
I've been on his trail since Irreversible. Blew my mind off. Like just completely.
No, I didn't
blown.
see it in the theater. Had I seen it in the theater,
didn't either.
I would have ran out. I wouldn't have finished it. There's no way you could survive that.
That set up the pins and then Enter the Void. I liken it to a hostage situation in the best possible way. If you saw that in the theater, as I did, as we did,
Yeah, we all
did
did together. Yeah,
except for Bishki.
Yeah, I don't know where it was.
It was like getting dropped into a pinball machine. Like when someone hits you into a pinball game. You're just getting bounced around.
And is it like, it feels like 5 hours, but I think it's more around 2.5, 3. And
it's bad vibes. It's like a bad acid trip. Like for people who never.
I thought it was
a DMT trip.
I thought it was a wonderful acid trip.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's got joy. It's got pain. I mean, there's always dark with light. But I came out of that a changed person. Like I knew it. Like a lot of us were just
much
shell-shocked.
like a trip itself.
Yes, and people were just, it was kind of in a shopping center, and people were walking past us, and a dude looked at me, just a random stranger, and said, "Hey man, are you okay?" And I said, "No." I was like, "No."
I remember vividly that night, there was about 6 or 7 of us went to that movie together. We had to have like a circle of...
It was a counseling session.
It was a post-film counseling session to digest what we had just been through. But that movie stuck with me ever since. And you could tell, I mean, what Lucas is saying, Kanye ripped it off. He did.
Good. Yeah, it's so good.
Even just that opening credit sequence.
The opening credits makes it worth it. Like, it's so good. It's, like, better than most movies.
I could talk about Enter the Void forever, but after that, then we get Love, his 3D pornographic film.
Which I have not seen.
Which we saw in the theater, Zach. On a romantic date.
4DX.
We went to see it.
4DX.
This is now our third Gaspar in a row in the theater together.
I want to see them all with you, Zach.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Let's keep it going.
Love's been sitting in my queue for about, 6 years now?
Love is more of a, I mean, it's still strange.
Does
but
Love turn you on? Do you get erect
no,
while watching it?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Got it.
So, tonight, I don't know what we're expecting. I didn't even watch the trailer.
No.
I've not read anything.
I only have the log line.
I've heard. I don't even know that.
I saw an early trailer, but it was a long time ago, and I felt like, the trailers don't do it justice.
Sure.
Like, you're not getting what it is.
I've heard rumblings that it's wild. That's all I know.
It involves LSD. I know that.
Yeah, that's about all I know. Dancers and LSD.
I'm excited.
Well, I'm ready to be taken on a trip. Zach, you did what you could to realign our chakras and bring us back into the proper headspace for this.
This is what I'm going to recommend. We've all taken a little toke.
Yes.
From
I'm
the
good.
pen.
I'm good, sir. I'm
Blowing
good.
our troubles away.
I recommend a little coffee.
Yeah, maybe
maybe a cookie.
Little root beer.
Just get yourself nice
I like
and cozy.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blanket yourself in all the goodies you need.
Let's do it.
And let Gaspar do the rest.
Let's take the ride. Carnival ride.
Mama Zach is helping out tonight.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. All right, let's take the ride, y'all. Love and light in our eyeballs.
Climax!
We're back. Are we alive? Roll call. Bishki,
Up and at 'em.
LT, Z.
Breathing again.
Oh, Jesus. What's that schnapps?
From director Gaspar Noé. Irreversible. Enter the Void. Love comes a hypnotic, hallucinatory, ultimately hair-raising depiction of a party that descends into delirium over the course of one wintry night. In Climax, a troupe of young dancers gathers in a remote and empty school building to rehearse, following an unforgettable opening performance lit by virtuoso cinematographer Benoit Debue. Spring Breakers Enter the Void, and shot by Noé himself, the troupe begins an all-night celebration that turns nightmarish as the dancers discover they've been pounding cups of sangria laced with potent LSD. Tracking their journey from jubilation to chaos and full-fledged anarchy, Noé observes crushes, rivalries, and violence amid a collective psychedelic meltdown. Starring Sofia Boutella, Atomic Blonde, and a cast of professional dancers, Climax is Noé's most brazen and visionary statement yet.
How are you feeling, young Bishki? How do you feel right now in your body, in your mind, in your soul?
I was secretly thinking I should have been following this guy all along, and yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, the audience, it was a pretty full crowd for a Sunday night. I think everybody felt similarly shook afterwards. I think that's safe to say. That Snops was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, yeah.
It is basically you meet a bunch of these dancers, you get to know their ins and outs and who they're crushing on and who they're angry with and what they're thinking about, all while they're just sipping this sangria and
dancing.
And dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing.
Get a few opening credits
and
at various points.
And then yeah, you're just off to the motherfucking races. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Very, very typical of Gaspar to play with your expectations of opening credits. He likes to blow up the structure that you're used to.
Yeah.
So
closing credits.
It begins with the closing credits.
And the closing shot, really.
And the closing shot of the film. And then we're seeing this static shot of a TV with interviews of all these dancers talking about working with this company and with this choreographer and what they hope to bring to and get from the experience, which is very long. And similar to his other movies, he's getting you into a rhythm. He's grooming you for what he's about to do to you. And I could feel that very, very clearly. I don't know, Bishki, what you were thinking during that long opening section.
That section was definitely fine. And the opening dance section, which we'll get to. But there was another section that came further along when there was dialogue for I don't know how long.
Right.
Where we're still getting kind of to know the characters, but it's just sex talk for like 15 minutes.
He clobbers you with it. Lucas, you've been very quiet since the beginning credits rolled at the end of the film. What's going through your mind right now? How are you feeling?
I'm pretty wiped out. That was tough. I had to cover my eyes and my ears at certain points because there was just so much screaming of agony, cacophony of just pain and suffering.
I feel like of the car denizens tonight, you and I have probably been in similar situations.
Yes.
And can relate.
Yes.
On
it was very much captured authentically, and it really kind of gives you a vibe of how it can go wrong, if you're with the wrong group or with the wrong vibe, for sure.
Or just how the vibe can change everything on a dime.
Yeah.
And things are upside down and inside out.
Music is relentless too. What was interesting is like the cold open, is normal in terms of sound mix, and then as soon as the music starts playing, it feels like they put it up like 2 notches or something. It gets really loud.
The sound design is so deliberate in this, as it is with most of his films. He's trying to hit like a dance brown note almost. Like it's very bassy, very reverberative, and no matter where you are in this film, no matter where you are in this building that it takes place in, you're always hearing that insistent boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Just relentless.
Yeah.
Relentless.
The music doesn't
beat.
stop to the very, very end. I mean, the whole time it's just going, blasting you.
And that's part of the design.
And the camera never stops moving.
Well, that's what's interesting at the beginning is
the camera doesn't move at all.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't move at all during the interviews.
Right.
Then we make our way into the school, into the rehearsal space.
The rehearsal space is where we spend almost 90% of the movie on this dance floor kind of entertainment.
And the
area.
intro where they do their rehearsed number that they've spent the last few days doing, which is really entertaining, I thought.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, was that a 15-minute uninterrupted shot?
I'm sure there was some tomfoolery, but it felt uninterrupted. And it's everything that Suspiria... This movie is everything that the Suspiria remake kind of wanted to be in its heart, I think. Like, that's how I felt. Like, the dancing is off the wall, and the camera work is virtuosic when it wants to be.
Well, so I was just going to say to Bishki's point about the sex talk, he deliberately was going from this super long, uninterrupted shot where you see their whole dance number, and then the camera continues without cutting to meet all the characters, and each character kind of takes it for a spin around the room.
We're just kind of roaming around, just eavesdropping in.
Yeah, getting settled in, and then we go into these staccato punches where every time it cuts, there's a frame of slug of black.
And that's similar to Enter the Void. It's supposed to...
And they're all static.
It kind of feels... With that, you were supposed to be blinking, and this, it feels like, blinks mixed with just mini blackouts.
I thought they were using the best takes from whatever they had, and it was just like, put a black between, we're gonna just use it, and the jump cuts worked.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it went on forever. I mean, I thought both the in the cold open where you're interviewing the dancers, and then later, like when they're in the dance hall talking, it just went on for so fucking long that when the guys were talking about sex, I just stopped reading the subtitles. I was like, I got it, I totally got it, and I just would look at the background or just zone out while they were talking because it went on for days.
Yeah, to make an LT point, there were certain shots in there and actors that felt student feature for sure. Certain actors were better than others.
Well, I think a lot of them were dance first, acting second.
Yeah.
I think that's
or
right.
acting third. Dance.
There was one actress in there, and we'll get to her, that made a hell of a performance.
Yes.
Right, yes. So we have this Bravo dance number. Then we have the aforementioned extremely long static chats. And then I'm right there with you. I'm like, this is too long. But when I started feeling that way is when the sangria started kicking in for these people. And to me, it's like, as with Enter the Void as well, he really wants you to feel like you're going on a drug trip. Like, he is, more so than telling a cohesive story, as we know stories to be, he's seen things. He's seen the end of the rainbow through drugs. Yes. And he wants to share exactly what he saw, what he felt, what he heard.
Yeah, it's kind of ingenious because it's like VR without the goggles.
You don't need goggles
in that he's like, the way I would see him pitching this to his financiers is like, have you ever done acid? Yes or no? And like the answer is yes or no. And it's like, okay, if you've said yes, have you ever had a bad trip? And like, odds are you haven't. He's like, well, I'm going to make a movie that gives you that experience.
The worst trip.
Without having to actually be there, but this is the vibe that it's going to be like.
And holy shit, is he successful
and he nails
in that.
He nails it, yeah.
Because when that sangria starts hitting, like, I was right there with it. I'm like, I'm bored at this party's lame. And then I'm just like, oh shit, I'm getting a little woozy. They're still talking about sex? Oh, now they're talking about, wait, what's going on? And then we get a top-down shot of all of them doing floor dancing and just kind of getting more and more and more aggressive. The music's getting more and more heavy. And then we get the opening credits. Like,
which was hilarious.
Was it 40 minutes?
I think it was 40 minutes.
It was at least 40 minutes.
And all the bands, all the DJs get their own title flashed.
The credit,
every typeface is different.
The actors get yellow-colored font, and the musicians that are featured get green. I love that.
Yeah.
So the title comes right when the drugs hit, which... amazing.
Yes.
Like, perfect. For what you're doing, God bless you.
I was on board at that point.
And didn't Gaspar's name get flashed 3 or 4 times?
At least. And the music was mixing in like, Gaspar, no, Gaspar, no. Like, they're saying his name. And why the fuck not? Like, this is his movie. So the camera is running wild at this point, and shit starts getting weird.
Including a young child.
Yes.
Who drinks the sangria.
Tito. They introduced Tito, the youngster, the adorable little youngster who just wants to dance and be an adult. He's told not to drink the sangria because it has alcohol. And then once things start kicking in and getting a little loose, you see old Tito in the background getting his sips in.
He snuck down from the bedroom,
So his mom locks him in a, what is it?
Utility
like,
closet?
A utility closet with
Freaks out,
with
yeah.
a giant electrical.
The
controls.
Jurassic Park circuit breaker.
She's like, don't touch anything. You have to stay in here for your own safety.
I couldn't understand why she wouldn't just put him back in bed and like as
he's
any
roaming.
good, as any
He's
good
roaming around.
mother would. Yeah,
and
but
if
just
he's not safe from everyone else.
If he's dosed,
Yeah.
he's gonna be running all around.
Well, this is where in a way, like,
there had to have been another room to lock
I
him in.
mean, this where in a way contrives a little bit of the bad acid trip, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because you get that kid screaming for the rest of the movie.
The sound,
Oh,
the
man.
sound keeps layering on. You hear the kid echoing throughout the halls. Mommy, mommy!
There's cockroaches everywhere.
As people are stumbling around, his voice comes in
and
and
you just
out.
know the kid's on acid, and oh my
And
god.
you get to know, this movie takes place in the dance floor, the kind of foyer outside the dance floor that the kid is, adjacent to, locked in the room. This long hallway, Gaspar and his long hallways, and then this kind of corridor with some bedrooms.
Some dormitory.
Dorms,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's it.
But yeah, like the movie's building up dread.
It becomes kind of a lynch mob trying to figure out who dosed the sangria, and they're all fucked up, so everybody's a suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the paranoia is rampant. So like it kind of takes a turn where they throw this one guy out and into the snow, and they lock him out, and you hear him say like, let me in, I need to get back in." And then like shortly after that, it's like the same beat where one of the dancers accuses another dancer who just told us she's pregnant of like dosing them, and she like knees her in the stomach, and when she's down on the ground, like kicks her in the stomach like as hard as she can. It's violent. Like it is brutally violent. And the audience like gasped. I mean, it was like the moment where
I
you
thought
realized,
someone in the audience screamed, but I think it was the late.
I think it was the sound.
It was the sound.
The
I think
sound was so piercing.
Yeah, it was a great mix because it did sound like it was someone behind me,
Yeah.
as opposed to the speakers.
And then she ends up going. Whenever you go back to the dance floor, shit's gonna get cranked up another level of fucked upness. Because she goes back, and then they're like, the word has spread, like, she dosed us, and they keep taunting her, and she just starts cutting herself with a knife and like threatening to kill her. It is off the rails disturbing. But what happens is, and again, you can probably already tell that this movie's not for all tastes, and it's not. I don't even think it's handleable for most people.
I think it's actually like one of the greatest drug-free like PSAs. Like anyone who sees this,
it's anti-drug.
They will never
sure.
ever do hallucinogens ever. Like no one will ever do it if they see this movie, like under any circumstance.
But what's cool is, Zach can attest to this, as it builds. People are peeing on the floor. There's a girl who's snorting coke near a Bunsen burner, and she just catches on fire. And you don't. It's not resolved until much later what happened to her.
I forgot.
You just hear her screaming,
yeah.
and then you're following somebody else stumbling down, and they're looking at her like, "Oh, that's not me."
And then this one guy goes up to a girl on the dance floor and tries kissing her, and then an angry mob of dudes just start beating him
led by the brother
for no reason.
And threatening to circumcise him. There's incest. There's an incestual brother-sister that's going on with a very angry, protective brother, kind of like Scarface.
And then it turns into like the Dr. Hartford like tour of Eyes Wide Shut, where people are just like doing whatever.
But I got sidetracked by all this shit. What's cool is, as it builds, it's the same trajectory as your drug trip would be.
Right.
So there's the lull at the beginning. Has it kicked in yet? Then it kicks in. Climax, you get the fucking titles. We're in. Then you're on your trip. It builds to such a fever pitch. And I think this is the brava situation that you were talking about, Bishki, where kind of the main female performer,
Sofia Boutella.
if there could be a main person in this, we're following her for a while, and she is taking us on kind of a grand tour of the state.
Oh my god!
The state of the dance.
Salad dragon extraordinaire.
Can I just set this up just slightly
Please.
before, and I'll kick it back to you, but and in the very beginning, in that static shot of the interviews, on the side of the screen, there's all these VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And two of them, one is Suspiria,
That's true.
and the
That's
other
true.
one is
Possession.
Possession.
And we are about to witness what can only be an homage
To
possession,
yes.
To both,
and they
yeah.
freak out Zulawski classic scene with the milk and the
Yes.
screaming woman in the underground.
And it's a
Yeah.
worthy successor.
It really is. This actress.
She goes there.
And you know what? I bet all those VHSs, by the way, if we go back and look at each one, are tied to the movie somehow.
Sure.
I bet that's Gaspar's way of winking at us.
course.
You're right. Like this is all
Nothing's random.
Right.
Even, the more random it seems, the less random it is, which
Mm-hmm.
is what's amazing with this movie, because he is grooming us for this section, this climax
And it delivers.
in the middle. It's not the end of the movie, but it's the climax of the drug trip. And we're following her around. She is delirious. We're hearing the kids screaming. All the sounds that we know from touchstones from earlier are filling our ears. She's spinning around. The camera's going upside down. It's doing loop-de-loops.
Her emotional range, she goes from like kind of happy, giggly to just freaked out,
Terrified.
to paranoid,
Which is all part of it.
Yeah,
Her hands underneath her leggings.
She puts her hands.
That
Oh,
was
that was-
such an
oh my God, that was
exciting,
amazing.
wild
and then
moment.
she
Yeah.
forgets they're there and she can't get them out.
She
and
puts her hands,
starts
yes,
panicking.
and then she thinks her hands are frozen and stuck, but they're just under her leggings, and she flips out. And the cherry on top of all of this is it was all scored to one of my favorite songs
Yes,
of all time,
yes.
Window Licker by Aphex Twin.
Yes.
wow.
Just used to perfection. And that's when I was thinking to myself, if I were somehow 15 years old and given the experience of LSD and was given a budget, this is exactly the movie I would have made. Like, it was just touching me in exactly the right spot during this sequence. And then there's the come down. There's the fucking crash. There's the bad turn. The lights go out. That's the turning point.
Tito gets fried.
Tito gets fried.
Tito
Which we knew was going to happen.
he flings
it
himself onto the electric grid off screen.
doesn't
Oh, man.
surprise us.
And then everything.
Keep the music going. Keep it going.
So yeah, the music's off for like a minute, at most. And someone's like, "I got my ghetto blaster. I'll keep the music going." They turn the music back on. Everything is in red emergency light at this point, and then the dance floor just turns into
a bacchanal.
a bacchanalian orgy,
Yeah.
similar to the end of the Suspiria remake. But this one is like, you can smell it. People are
Convulsing.
People are convulsing. There's a contortionist dancer.
And bones are cracking.
He's cracking his he's contorting too far, and he's loving it. He's
But the
cracking
camera
his
is
bones.
upside down on the floor.
It's
and
upside down for
the
about
lights-
15 minutes.
And the
Yeah.
lights are
And
strobing
it's
red and black,
drifting
red and
around.
black.
Yeah, it drifts
So
around.
you're so
You
disoriented.
can't even see anything.
And there's like
Yeah, you
one
just
couple
glimpses,
on the
glimpses.
floor just turbo fucking like you've never seen. Like just so scary.
And the sister and brother, the brother's like, "I won't tell Dad, but
Oh.
you're my world." And then she
Oh.
starts having a seizure.
Yeah.
That was bad vibes.
While he's like
Yeah.
going down on her. Like
that
it's,
was super bad vibes.
But that's what he wants. He's like, "You peaked. Now you got to deal with this shit."
There were
And
audience members just
disturbing.
releasing laughter just to ground themselves, including myself.
Just
Yeah.
giddy, bewildered laughter throughout the audience. And I was looking around too, a lot of just covered, like, people just had their hands on their face. Wow.
That was me. Yeah, I had to cover my eyes a couple times. It was just
Like, I want a Gaspar Noé in every country to be releasing a movie every year, so I know
you know what
what's
he should,
going on.
Yeah, you know what he should do.
on this wavelength across the globe.
He should adapt Dante's Inferno and just like
Why not?
make that his opus, like his Avatar.
I mean, where do you go from here? I feel like he's captured the psychedelic essence to a T. Like, Enter the Void took twice as long to do what this did in 95 minutes.
He distilled it.
Is
He distilled
irreversible?
it.
Is irreversible related to a drug experience like meth or something? or no?
Irreversible, I mean, I'm sure there's... I haven't seen
Because
it. in
Enter
some
the
time.
Void is DMT. You're right. Like it is a total
Yeah.
DMT trip.
But Irreversible you just feel like you're on drugs. Like,
Yeah.
drugs aren't the revenge.
Does
and-
love feel
and
like
anger.
ecstasy? Does that have an ecstasy vibe or no?
I mean, love is kind of an outlier, I feel. It's not as aggressive as this.
Love itself is and jealousy and everything is kind of the drug.
Yeah. But this is like kind of his return to
Void.
prior form, return to void form.
Yeah.
So after that, upside down nightmare. The door opens and there's, I don't know,
German Shepherd, a couple of Rangers.
a couple of Rangers come in from
And the
the
shot is
snow.
upside down, and it really feels
One
like
lone dancer.
it really feels like the dancer is on the ceiling. Like you've
Yeah.
been upside down so long.
Yeah.
Like you're there in the upside down world.
And then kind of like Halloween, like the end of Halloween, we're checking in with all of the locations in static kind of above shots, and we're checking in on everybody. And some people are dead. Some people are blissfully like post-coitus. Some people are post-coitus and possibly dead. Like they don't dwell too much.
Some people are just catatonic.
Bleeding.
Others are having like little night terrors.
Other people are scratching themselves raw from I don't know, from some sort of allergic reaction. And then it's revealed that, in fact, the German woman...
It was the German girl.
From the beginning, who in her interview said, I have to get away from Berlin, there's too many drugs there, it's too crazy. She's the one that dosed everybody, and the last shot is her dropping LSD directly onto her eyeball, and then
LSD therapy.
Blissing out.
Was she the same one that peed or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the same one.
Yes.
She did pee,
Yeah.
and I think the pee threw us off.
Yeah.
Germans just, they'll just do that sometimes on the dance floor. So that threw us off because we're like, she must be fucked up, but no, she was fucked up and loving it, evidently. So, and she has a book, Christiane F. and the Psychology of LSD, kind of sticking out of her bag, and she was the culprit all along. Fade to white. And we've already dealt with all the credits, so it just drops you. It just
The lights come on.
The lights come on early because
They want to get you out of there. It's like our last show.
They don't want everybody to descend into the madness that they saw in the movie. And that's perfect, too, because it cuts off, and then we're all just people who witnessed that together. And people are just like, oh, what? Oh, man. You just feel, you hear it throughout the room. We see Lucas, like, stone-faced, just walked right past us. And I think it got us out of our Neverland funk.
Oh, it did. I don't even remember how I felt
no,
2 hours ago.
because we're different now.
Yeah, we're different. We're changed.
We got dosed so hard. Now, I feel like this entire movie was filmed, printed, and projected through Salad Dragon's skin. But I think I agree that window liquor suite
The Zulowski window liquor
in the middle is, I mean...
Yeah, where she got to the bathroom to wash her hands, and then she looked at herself in the mirror and screamed. She just,
He just kept hitting.
reflexively,
Yeah.
Every moment, every peak and trough of that suite was a delight, man.
was
That
amazing.
was just to perfection, the camera and the performer in that sequence.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right,
It was
well,
wild.
this is technically a movie, although I do feel like it's some other art form. But because it's a movie, we must deliver some bones. Brother Zach, grace us with your bone count.
Oh man, I'm going first.
You're going first.
Dive right in. Drink
Well-
the sangria.
I was going in wanting a Gaspar to take me on a ride, and that he did. This is exactly why I like going to this guy's movies. They're singular, unexpected, and pulpy fun. And I don't go to them for a narrative experience. You go to them to be shown something familiar yet completely new. I've also now I've seen enough of his movies where the experience is new, but I know what I'm going to get, if that makes sense. I had no idea what I was going to get, but I knew it wasn't going to be a conventional narrative. So, man. I mean,
it's a different sport, but in the same stadium.
I got to give this 3.5, man. Because what I look at is, did he achieve what he set out to do? And the answer is 100%. I mean, yes, there were some sections where even if his intention is to be tedious, it maybe was a little too tedious. But
Right.
and I'm with it conceptually, but I could still have, tightened it a little bit in that first 30-ish. But man, the camera work was so inventive and alive. The dancing was a trip. The performers were, I thought, really well cast and interesting. And then when it reached its heights and its haunting lows, it was memorable. I mean, that is a memorable film. So yeah, I give it 3.5.
3.5 bones.
Yeah.
Over to LT.
Yeah, that is a very fair assessment, Brother Zach. I definitely was like getting super fired up in that opening dance number because it was just brilliant choreography and these dancers. I just couldn't believe it. It was like better than CGI, Like honestly, like these performers were just dynamite and just killing it and just working their bodies so hard. And like, yeah, the soundtrack was so killer that like at certain points I was just trying not to dance in my seat. And yeah, aside from those static interviews and some of those asides, people rambling, the build up to the trip was pretty solid. And once it started, it definitely reminded me of, the experiences that I've had, and it's definitely hitting close to home. Like it absolutely is like a ride, and I think it can give a lot of people a lot of insight. But yeah, it definitely is. It's a tough watch. This is one that it's really hard to get through in places, and I did have to cover my eyes and ears for some scenes because it is pretty horrific. Like it can be pretty unbearable, and especially in a theater. This isn't like a Netflix movie. This is something that like you kind of demands to be seen on the big screen.
It's that hostage thing. You need to be held hostage by it.
Yeah,
phone off, lock me in,
Yes.
don't let me leave,
Right.
surround me in sound and
it really
images.
does change you. It really does affect you. Like there's no escape. And there was a woman sitting next to me who left midway through, so I don't think she could take it after a while because it's just
Understandable.
It is relentless. But I give it 2.5 bones. It's technically solid, very sound. I just can't imagine me recommending this to anyone because it is such it's tough.
It's a tough recommendation.
It is.
You need a specific type of...
It's a very acquired taste, and I will say this about Gaspar Noé, is that this was like his least offensive film, if that makes any sense, and like his most accessible, I think. If you haven't seen any of his work, it's like a good intro, maybe.
That's why I'm happy it was Bishke's first.
Yeah.
It's a very gentle
It is.
intro.
It meets you halfway. Like for instance, the fact that he reveals who dosed him at the end
Right.
was like, okay, he's giving us that, and I appreciate that.
I do just take one point with the structure of the bones. It always comes down to this for me.
It's his personal feeling that he needs to be
Recommended
a
to a
slave
cousin.
to
It's
this
this recommendation shit where I'm like,
I don't agree with it, but
I
it's
think
what
I-
he
What is
feels.
written, so
but
it shall be
LT
done.
I know, but LT, to me, it's more about,
I
does
hear
the
you.
filmmaker achieve
I
what
hear
they set
you.
out to do?
No,
It's
I
not
totally
so
hear
much
you.
about like, can I recommend it to a stranger?
I know. That's just how I live and
Because
die.
how can you recommend any art to a stranger?
No, but
Like,
but the book is different. The book is different. So it does work for everyone.
We're beyond the book.
Yeah.
But
no, it's a good.
I
it's good-
respect.
yeah.
I respect your particular denomination of
It just makes it
houndism.
It's easier for me to keep it all straight in my head that way.
Okay, Zach, live and let live. All right.
I can't. It's
I'm
out of
with you.
love. It's out of love.
I'm
but
with
it's
you.
but I can't let it go. I can't let
If
it
someone
drive
wants
me
to
wild.
believe-
No, but Zach is right in his 3.5 bone assessment because the movie is memorable, cinematic flair, made with verve, sheen, panache. All these things.
If someone wants to believe in Xenu, there's nothing you can tell
Gaspar
him.
isn't trying to make a movie you could recommend to anyone. Like, he's not trying to do that.
Right.
He's a bone fundamentalist. Brother Bishke, the world waits with bated breath. What happened?
For me, this was drug abuse resistance education. This was
Going back to the Dare days.
yeah, this was Dare 101. This is why we don't do hard psychedelics at the Lodgiversary.
No.
And but it was a wild ride. I thought God damn. The musical choices, I loved all of them. I loved the visual choices. There were some, as Brother Nathan warned me, some ugliness that I thought was contrived, but fitting into, the experience. It was more about feeding the experience.
Right.
That middle sequence with Sofia Boutella was, the bone count can't go high enough. God damn, that was crazy. I had a good time. I'm gonna go backwards and see the rest of his films.
Yeah.
Probably try to get him on the big screen if
Yeah, I'm there with you, man. I want to be right by your side, holding your hand if necessary.
Yeah. I'll go in irreversible order, and but I'm gonna give this 3 bones.
Okay. You can watch Love by yourself, actually, but
Okay.
all the other ones, I'm there holding your hand.
Yeah, but it was the wild ride I was hoping for, and I'm gonna dream tonight.
That's great, man. That is great. That's perfect. I was hoping there would be something in this that would connect to your DJ sensibilities.
It did.
Okay, well, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think you can tell I am right on board with this. My bone count started high and got into some doldrums in a little bit, just like we were talking about, but then fucking spiked. It went up to 4, and then I thought better of it, and I'm like, listen, I got to leave room at the top for him to expand to even higher levels. I want him to push on to the next plane. He's perfected this. Let's see what you can do next. You got a 4 bone from me next time if you take it to that level.
Yeah.
Right now, 3.5. I am almost 100% certain it's going to be on my best of list this year. I had an amazing time, and I do not know who I can recommend this to. So,
But this is, but so
but it doesn't matter for
But
me.
you put it, but so now you put it at,
No,
for a Gaspar film, this is almost as good as he can get. But you hope, because you want to see more.
my rating ethics, I'm more New Testament, where I speak from my heart. The recommendations have nothing to do with it.
Right.
So I don't know who to recommend this to. I would love, my mother to see it and just see what it would happen, just like the woman dropped the LSD into the sangria just to see what would happen. But I can't really do that in good conscience.
It's a family experience on screen.
I want to see him tackle
Brothers and sisters,
marijuana.
mothers and son.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do
Marijuana.
too. And he always gives you, there's little drug dog whistles throughout. Like in this one, at the beginning, there's a guy who's like, I find marijuana gets me in the right frame of mind. It relaxes my muscles in the right way, makes me more sensitive. So I think he's trying to tell you, be on marijuana at least for my movies, please. And I couldn't agree more. I'm like, I wish there was an edible going on, but I'm kind of glad there wasn't, because then we could just feel the purity of what he did.
The film takes you.
And God,
there,
it was
yeah.
pure. It was Heisenbergian levels of purity.
Yeah.
But that's Climax. If you're hearing this and any of this sounds interesting to you, or if you are a Gaspar head, you've probably already seen it, but I would recommend trying to see it in the theater. Seeing it on Netflix
Co-sign,
or
yeah.
At home, it's not. You may as well not even do it, because it's not going to be right. You need to be in a place where you cannot leave.
Yeah, we were front row too. We were like right in front of the
center, yeah.
screen.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. So that's Climax, y'all. We all climax together. Our moods have been lifted. Zach, thank you for helping us get out of our funk and into an even crazier funk.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, there are these filmmakers where you're in for a ride, and you can just be assured that even if it doesn't end the way you want it to, the ride doesn't go all the places you want, you are in good hands, and the ride will be executed at a level that you don't need to worry about anything else. Just go on the ride.
Love and light to us all, and love and light to every single person within the sound of our reverberating, thumping voices.
And if you ever do LSD, make sure you got a good shaman, journeyman, ferryman, just a good babysitter to kind of hold your hand and walk you through it.
Stay away from the sangria. Love and light, y'all.
Love and light.
turbo fucking